from the basics, and it's Naturally Radio. Get involved now. Learn, and it's Naturally Radio. Get involved now.
Yo! Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Do you want to tell me when you want me to start?
Okay, well, you can start when you're ready. I'm good to go.
Right, okay. Well, I'm Brenda, and I attended the Black Beauty and Science event. It was held on Saturday. I went along because I'm very keen to support community learning initiatives, and I wasn't sure what I would get, although I've met the maths tutor, and I've read his book. I read a book that I got from him at the time. I haven't got it in front of me, but I remember I was very intrigued by the way he dealt with math concepts in terms of art, history, and it made it very, I thought, very accessible. And I also, as I said, wanted to support a community initiative like that. I'm very keen that children and indeed families learn about STEM as a way into the world, but also it's good for work and so on. So yes, I went along and I had a very interesting time. Unfortunately, I was only able to stay for the first part. Reflecting on the things that I really liked about it, I was really quite blown away, really, about the way the math tutor seemed to, what I call, illuminate key concepts in science and mathematics. He did it in a way which I thought a cross-section of the community could access, and looking around the room and hearing different people speak. There are people there who are teachers, there are people there who are parents, and there are people there who were just interested. I felt that he introduced us all to the kind of maths which, thinking about it, felt like a window on the world that's around us, but also the world that's within us, in a way that opened it up to our understanding, rather than shut us off and excludes us. That's thinking back about it. That's what it felt like. I like the way he drew on principles. Like he used hair. It sounded as though it was about hair, but actually the hair, looking at the structure of hair, the size of hair, the chemical makeup of hair, was actually a vehicle. In the end, I saw it, a vehicle for teaching us. And I liked the way he used that to show us such a lot of linkages about the world, sizes. I was intrigued. I mean, as someone who has done sciences in the past and worked with sciences, I'm just getting my head around things like nanometers, never mind smaller particles in use, and having a sort of vision of what they might look like. And he dealt with that, and with youngsters, young children in the audience, and they seem to be able to grasp it. Another thing I got out of it was around sort of cultural things. First of all, he mentioned languages and the links with science and mathematics to ancient languages, and in a way that made me want to find out more about that, but perhaps at another time. but also looking back about sciences and teaching of sciences, particularly sort of medical, biological sciences, things to do with blackness and Africanness is all often being taught of as though, from a deficit perspective, as though there's something missing. And what I was intrigued to find and really quite taken with is the way he talked about the hair and the curl in the hair, as the hair as primary. It's a primary as being complete. It's not something. It's not a deficit model of hair, which I thought was very, very good. Certainly from a cultural perspective. And then other things that were part of this. So much was covered in the very short time I was there. I was thinking he dealt with the periodic tables, and I'm used to seeing the periodic tables as a table, a linear table, and here he was showing it in a sort of spherical, almost 3D fashion. And so, again, that's something I want to explore further, because it shows very graphically the relationship between certain, members of the periodic tables, which was, again, brilliant for teaching. And then the other thing that I thought was really good, the way he actually talked about the pH. Very often we see pH as just acid, alkali, and very in a very quick fashion. But he showed the scale and how it was arisen, how it had arisen, what it meant, and I particularly liked the way he set out the sort of normal products, if you like, not just water, body products and so on, that and listed the pH associated with them, again, which was something very, I thought very helpful and very interesting, certainly for a reminder for me, but I think also for the people there, everyday things and the pH. And then what does that mean in terms of even things like taking care of your hair? Yeah, it was all round an excellent session for me, and I was just so unhappy that I had to dash away before it was all done.
Well, thank you, Brenda. That's a wonderful summary of your experience there. And you mentioned that you have an experience with working in science. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that?
Chemistry was actually my favorite subject at school. And as a result of that, I ended up working in teaching labs and later on research labs, in my early working life. And then I did a degree, a BSc in occupational hygiene, which includes sciences, maths and science discipline, because of course you have to look at measuring the environment, for example. We measure noise, so you need maths for measuring noise. We deal with dust. We deal with the problems of chemicals in our working environment, and so we need to be able to measure those. So that's my background, working with a sort of scientific background. So yes.
And I'm very pleased that you so clearly captured as you put it, a vehicle. We're working with the hair science as a vehicle to a broader idea of learning science and learning math.
Yeah.
And
yes.
And I say vehicle, I know that for many people, they wouldn't have come to that seminar if it had been strongly emphasized that we were going to explore the math and science in the way that we did. But at the same time...
Yes. I think I agree with you, and which was what intrigued me, because knowing about the book which is about maths and the way it was taught. And then when I saw it was doing with hair and beauty, then I thought, intriguing. But again, I thought, yes, things about hair and indeed about beauty are things that involve science and indeed mathematics. And so that combination was brilliant. Yes, I thought that worked.
Give thanks. Well, you see that the real essence of this is that there's a pedagogy behind it. There's a method of teaching. So you're very kind about the way it all came together. And what we're really trying to get to is to explore the method of teaching, because in truth, any subject could be explored in that unified way through unified knowledge. So it's been really good. That's why I was very keen to speak to you, because I know you have, you traveled quite far. I know where you've traveled from to get to the event. I really appreciate that you did that. And it's just vital that we re-engage with these subjects that it appears we've been disaffected from through a bad educational process that most of us tend to have grown through a process of learning that's left us just disaffected with mathematics and science, and therefore disaffected with a whole body of empowering knowledge and progressive ways forward with our lives. So
I think you're right. I do think that what I heard, the subject and the way it was dealt with, and the fact that I could see that it cut across generations there listening, I thought was really good. And I hope that future things, that events like that actually include more school-age children. I should certainly be sharing the mathematics book with my grandsons, because I found it a really intriguing way to look at maths in the world. I think it brings people back to see. There's been generations of people who have this thing, I can't do maths and I don't like science, but I think bring it to, if you like, the myths of us, showing the people there, and said to myself, reminding me that it is so much tied up with us as people, as our daily lives, our bodies, and all the things around us, the water and all the other products around us, in a way that was so accessible. I thought that was very powerful, very powerful.
Well, give thanks. And I did mention, I think you will have heard, I mentioned that we are forming a learner cooperative, a beauty and hair science learners cooperative. So my intention is to go much deeper into this science and to stick very tightly to the subject of hair and beauty, because it is something that has traction and has a valid meaning for our community. So we're going to work on it in a very deep way. And I think if you left at that first break, so you will have missed us exploring the ATP, which is the molecule for conveying energy in the body. So we explored that very carefully, and we ended up using movement, actual physical movements, as a kind of summary of the whole thing. So there's even what you've seen and you've hailed as being creative ways to do the learning. We went even deeper into the creativity. We had movement, we had singing and rhythm, on top of all the science and the math that we did, all blended into the one form. So this is unified knowledge. And again, I thank you for taking time to come, because that's important. And I thank you for taking time to share your thoughts. Is there anything else you'd like to say in summary?
Well, I wish you all the best, and I'd be happy to support again, because I found it inspiring, and I hope that other people did too.
Well, the feedback was
thank you.
Overwhelmingly, the feedback was like this, very, very positive, very touched on the newness of the way, and again, thank you for sharing your time. and your good
Yeah.
words.
You're welcome. Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so it was a pleasure to have you at our event. Please, can you just introduce yourself and just tell us how you found the event?
Yeah, it was a pleasure to be at the event. I got there really early. My name is Astehmari. I live in the London Borough of Haringey, get involved with a lot of community initiatives. Especially going to sort of, workshops, seminars, stroke sort of consultation. I don't know, when I got there, setup was nice. I found it was a little bit cold, but it was alright. But, that's towards the end actually. But, nice environment, the visual aids were very, very good in regards to, you blowing out, at first, that screen, I gave the question about the screen and I couldn't read it because, as I say, I'm a bit old school. But no, the visual aids were good in terms of going to the points of the actual mapping diagram that you had about the hair. Presentation, A1, I think you presented it, very well, very well.
What attracted you to the subject? So, obviously, our event was on hair and hair science.
I say I'm interested in human biology. At school I studied sort of human biology, chemistry. I was a little bit of a science buff anyway. But more to what attracted me to it, they had an event there around 3-4 weeks ago, and it was very well attended by a lot of women. But it was a free event, so I was interested when Dougie's one that told me about it. He said, it's about hair, black hair. It was funny because I came sort of just sort of curiosity with an observation because I pitched it, there wasn't that many men in the house. I pitched it mainly more from females, But I was glad I went, the knowledge that was given was good. And it's basically because, support some of the black events,
Mm-hmm.
That's what made me, intrigued me to go. It wasn't necessarily the title of the seminar.
Okay, cool. That's fair enough. That's good. So, what did you take from it in particular? What touched you the most in terms of?
What I took from it in regards to education, because I'm in the education. Well, I'm retired now, but I was in the education sector at the FE level, not necessarily, the biology, but engineering. I taught engineering and sports science. But what I liked about it, the little things like you say that diagram of the hair, which you open any biology book, you never see a curly hair. So I liked how you sort of went on from that in regard to the teaching of hair and what to do and pH. Very, very informative about different areas for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And even the bit that when you kept sort of going back to the Ethiopian sort of language and African language and certain relationships with something that were taught before and were preset before sort of the Europeans sort of started making their standardization on certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And that was put across quite nicely. But the whole seminar, obviously picking up points, I would have to sort of go from the top if you wanted me to sort of elaborate on each and every point. But I thought overall, I enjoyed it, the time that you went, I think we had about 3 hours, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right.
I wasn't bored.
That's right.
Which sometimes you can do because with some of the theory and concepts you can get a little bit bored, but you had all the pointers in the right place, I think. And then the practical session at the end with the pH is very good.
Mm-hmm.
Getting people sort of interactive in regards to some of the stuff that they bought and testing the pH. Yeah, I like that.
Okay, good. Well, we're going to do more of those things. And as I said, we're launching a forum, an actual learners cooperative around this subject. So I'm going to keep you informed about that.
You kept flicking back to it. I wasn't quite sure how that was going to work, but I was intrigued to hear about it.
Okay, well, I'm going to write to everyone. I don't believe I got your email. So what I'll do is I will text you a request for your email. You can email me, text me your email.
A little bit of the old school coming through. I do email, but very sort of, I don't respond very well with email at the moment.
Okay. Well, I'll endeavour to keep you informed. I don't know,
Yeah.
do you use any social media, like Facebook or anything like this?
Yeah. I'm getting towards, I'm hoping before the end of the year to get fluent on Facebook. I've got a Facebook site, but I think it's under, my kids set it up for me. They sort of operate it. But a little bit of WhatsApp, I'm on WhatsApp, but even that, I get so bombarded, I can't, people have to text me to let me know that it's on WhatsApp.
I hear you.
Old school I am,
I hear you. No problem. It's not for everyone to be wrapped up in those things still.
Yeah.
What I would say, though, is regarding Facebook, we have a group on Facebook called Black Open University Group.
On Facebook?
On Facebook, the Black Open University. So that's something, if you join into that, then you'll get updates through that as well.
Updated, all right.
Okay.
It's called
Black Open
Can you
University.
Text me that.
Yes, I can.
Text me that and I'll have a look at that,
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that's it really. I just wanted to just touch base with you, hear your thoughts about the event.
Yeah.
And again, thank you for attending.
No problem. I just say once again, I think the presentation is put across very well. You've always been doing that business in terms of giving information around them subjects. So do you do other subjects as well? Concentrate on the black hair.
We do a broad range of subjects. In fact, it's an approach to education called unified knowledge, or unified knowledge. So it's a method of teaching that's really behind that. We could tackle any subject. And in the summer school, we were doing math and physics through dance and music through drumming, math through drumming, things like this, cross-curricular things. So we can teach many things or explore many things on that.
Music and learning the ATP energy. Saying that was good. I like that. The music and then the dancing with it at the end. With the martial arts. I like that. Was quite good.
Okay. Well, good. I'm glad you had a good time and you learnt from it and you saw it was useful. So I will keep you informed, and please do get involved when we start the forum. Make sure you get involved in that as well.
I will try and keep up with that.
Okay.
And what's your pronounce your name again?
Astehmari. Astehmari.
Put that on the text to me, then I can remember it.
I'm going to text that first. I'll text you my card, my details, and then I'll text you other things after that.
All right, then, Astehmari. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, you take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
uLearn, I learn, we learn with you at uLearn Naturally Radio, your #1 station for holistic education. uLearn, I learn, we learn with you at uLearn Naturally Radio, your #1 station for holistic education. uLearn, I learn, we learn with you at uLearn Naturally Radio, your #1 station for holistic education.
Well, greetings everyone.
Greetings.
Thanks for spending some time with me. You attended the hair science seminar, the Black Beauty and Hair Science seminar, and I'm very keen to get your feedback, any thoughts you have. It's been coming to 2 weeks now since we did that, so you've had time to reflect on it. Please just introduce yourself and tell us what you found when you attended the seminar.
Okay. My name's Yvonne Williams. I attended the seminar on black hair, the science of black hair, and I found it extremely interesting because it deals with our culture and the whole of the idea about our hair being connected with science was of interest to me. I particularly enjoyed the seminar because it looked at normal hair, hairs that were sickled and sick, and that weren't well, and kind of hair in the middle. I also enjoyed looking later on at the pH levels and the products that we entrust to think that they might help to strengthen or grow the hair, etc., or better than any other products that are out there. So the pH level actually proved and showed to us what the level was, which when I looked at Cantu was pH 7, and that's what the normal hair should be. So just showed that it was of use, but it wasn't necessarily what it's promised to be.
I mean, what did they promise it to be?
Because they use shea butter, it's promised that it will actually help to grow the hair, etc. But there wasn't any proof scientifically that did that.
Well, just to qualify that just a little bit, because with the pH may be something as a component to why the hair product would help the hair to grow, but I wouldn't put down the whole reasoning of whether a thing is going to help your hair grow based on the pH, except to say that if the pH was very extremely high or extremely low relative to the rest of the hair environment, then obviously this would be concerning. So if you had put that product through the pH test and it came out to be very high or very low, as I said, very acid or very alkaline, then this would be a point of concern as to why you would put this into your hair. And only to say that's to qualify that the pH testing is not necessarily directly to say that a thing will make your hair grow or not.
And some of the factors that were brought up in the videos that hadn't really kind of considered before, because I didn't really think that genetic might actually be a factor as to why your hair didn't grow for 3 years, or I just thought that it was something that happened naturally over a given period of time for everyone.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting point, because I think what you're speaking to is when we did the work around ATP, which is the molecule related to energy, basically like an energy currency in the body, in life systems, and how that related to the growth of hair. And in that part of the reasoning, we were speaking about how the hair follicle and the unit structure has an inbuilt mechanism which is basically related to the male and female hormones, and that are rooted in that place, as to how long the hair grows in its natural cycles of growing and passing and growing and passing like this. So, yeah, it's good to know. It was insightful to share that, and ones did comment on that as well. Yeah.
Particularly enjoyed as well the seminar, because having attended 2 sessions of the unified learning, I then saw the relationship of the exercises that we did there and the exercises that we did in the hair, the Ngoma.
Oh, the
and
the dance exercises.
Yes.
Okay.
And the also the
Balayam.
Yes, the Indian
nail rubbing exercise.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that was also quite unique in terms of being able to share an ancient yogic form that is related to hair growth, and to put it into the context of African dance and African martial arts even. So that's what we did as a summary point. And obviously you attended the summer school, so you have an insight to how we had used the dance in the physics of warrior dance, and you had an insight to how we would use the dance in transformations of Wing Chun, which was a related maths to dance. And yeah, even for me, interestingly, the last one, the rotation, reflection, enlargement, translation, related to transformations, it touches me how when we saw the enzyme working and it had that rotational form in the video, it had a rotational form. Because you've done the summer school, I believe, and you and the children would have had a heightened sense about the value of rotation, because we studied the principles of the rotation, center, direction, and distance. And to see it in motion at at a molecular level, very, very powerful. And in regard to the physics, we use the dance to embody the basic ideas, the framework of physics, and part of that framework was to know about electric charge and electric field. And it's evident in the biology system that electric charge and field are part of the dynamic that is making the energy system work in the body. So, yeah, you're right. There is a direct connection. Most people would not connect them together, and I have a sense that this is part of our solution to see how things are really connected. I think we can feel how they're connected, but when we can know how they're connected and feel it, then we're in a much more empowered position of overstanding or inner standing with the things that we need to do. Yeah, so no, thank you for your thoughts on it. I mean, do you have any other thoughts about what we did?
The only thing that I didn't quite enjoy was the hearing about the logarithms, and that transported me back to my school days, because I didn't enjoy logarithms, and because I didn't really understand the concept. But the way that it was explained during the hair, the science of our hair I was then able to overstand it, using everything to the power of 1.
Yes. Okay, well, you're talking of the unit of power, yes. So, yeah, well, I'm glad that you're beginning to heal the trauma that you had in the standard system. It's funny, but somehow the fact that so many people have traumatic experience, traumatic memories of things to do with a subject of learning, especially given it being math, which underpins everything. It's more than unfortunate, and because it's basically systemic. It's a systemic problem that adults find they have kind of phobias or concerns about particular parts of the subject, and then that means that the children that they're with, either they pick it up, or it means that they can't communicate past that with the children, so the children then have gaps in their space because they can't bring certain kinds of insight into their regular home life. So we have to transform that, and this is why I've enjoyed delivering the hair seminar, because I know that this is something that sits in our homes in a certain passion, it sits in our homes in a certain way. We have a value for it as families, and so the ability to convey the core ideas of math and science through our hair and our determination to beautify, this is a great form. I'm looking forward to building more curricula for this, especially through our new learner cooperative. So this is going to be very wonderful. Just to summarize on the logarithm, for those who didn't attend it, what we did was explain that logarithms, basically we spoke about logarithms because you have to know about log in order to know about pH. The way that the pH system is built is using basically logarithms and exponents. So exponent is a power, a logarithm is basically the power, a number raised to another power. And we explained that, but we introduced something called the unit of power, which essentially is 1. And we put this at the beginning of working out what is meant by an exponent. So that's the key. And it boils down to the simplicity of using the number 1, knowing the value of 1 and what you're doing with the 1, whether you're going to multiply a number by this 1 and then keep multiplying again. So if, for example, you had 10 to the power of 4, that would mean 1 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. That would be 10 to the power of 4. But if you had 10 to the power of minus 4, that would mean 1 divided by 10, divided by 10, divided by 10, divided by 10. And so the positive exponent is multiples growing up, going bigger and bigger, and the negative exponent is division going in, inside 1. That the 1 is the missing thing that I don't see taught in the standard system, this unit of power. And anyway, it was good. It was good to share it. These things are inside of the poster. We explored the poster. How did you find that? Because I was using it quite dynamically. We projected it onto the wall, and I know that people were asking to zoom into different parts.
Yes.
How did you find that side of it?
I found it fascinating to look at each section.
Let me get it and show you to remind you of what's on that poster.
Oh yes, I did find it fascinating because it was dissecting and showing the chains of like amino acids chain.
That's right.
And the atoms.
This poster, I've said it before, this is something like an encyclopedia on one sheet because it allows you to go very deep inside it. It provides a very natural way into many subjects. And in actual fact, what we did in that seminar is the summary of a course which we'll be launching in the middle of next month, which will be a 12-week course to cover all of the ground, but rather than just presenting it as a seminar just to introduce it, to actually work through it so that anyone who attends is able to get the competence in each area. Yeah.
And the elements that were included in it, like the hydrogen and the carbon, etc., of the hair follicle. The H2O. I remember, you were saying about the polypeptide backbones and the protein, and when we looked at that, it's just amazing.
Okay.
And that puts it all into perspective. You're talking about the unit of power previously, and the logarithms.
Yeah. So it's something. This is why it's a resource. So I was speaking about something, but there's a physical resource that conversation was anchored to, so that one can have the resource to remind themselves of it and can study deeper into the thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So the resource is this is the encyclopedia. This is the reference point to which you then go to and explore deeper. And as you see, we use the online version, so we were able to zoom right into it. Yeah. Okay. So thank you. I've enjoyed speaking with you, and you've expressed an interest to get involved with the new learner cooperative. So I look forward to us working on that and the various things that can come from it, more courses, more programs, more hands-on activities around the science, and self-knowledge.
Yes.
So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Greetings, Ashima Leslie. How are you? Good morning.
Blessed rise.
Give thanks.
I'm blessed.
Give
I'm
thanks.
just juicing some kale.
Okay, wonderful. We can speak now?
Yes, I can, I'm ready.
Okay, perfect.
My name is Leslie Saunders. I attended the Black Hair and Beauty seminar. The seminar was exactly what I was looking for as a natural hair consultant. I really wanted to go into the science of the hair and how our hair is made up on the outside and on the inside, and really look at how that can give me the foundation knowledge to look at products that are compatible with the different hair types that we have in the Black community. What I experienced as well with the testing of the pH levels was that, pH, there's not good and bad pH. There are different types of pH, and you've got to know when to use what type of pH and how to create a balance between the products that you use. The information was very, very detailed, and it really requires more seminars, and it could develop into like a full course. And it would be really appropriate for the seminar to be kind of broken down for children of a younger age, because we really want to kind of zone into how we educate our younger ones, especially our under fives and under eights, about, the science of the hair, so that that knowledge is cemented in them at an early age. Where I see it would benefit the community is not only in Black women, but also in men as well, to give a holistic understanding of what our hair can do, as opposed to the environment now is just focusing on what it cannot do. So then we look for products that fill that shortcoming. For example, my hair is not long enough, so I go and buy hair extensions. What I would like to see is, from the knowledge that we would gain from the science of hair seminars, people can then say, this is what my hair does, and I'm so happy with what it can do. So all I'm looking for now is products that would protect the hair follicle from external things like the wind and the rain, changes in hormone level and so forth, so that we can celebrate what our hair can do, and we would not be looking for products or resources that would change what our hair cannot do. Yeah,
yes.
I think it's really, really important for us to celebrate the can-dos of the hair. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Yes, it's a very important point you're making. A very important point you're making. And this, for me, in terms of the seminar, the knowledge of how the hair is inside reflects a great beauty, not only of what the hair is, but just of a whole being. So that celebration of what is rather than what is not, the fullness rather than the lacking. Yeah, it's a good point you're making.
I mean, one of the key things that I took away from the seminar, there was lots of things, but one of the key things was the importance of water in how it, makes the enzymes function, and how that then, makes the hair follicle function, and how that makes the hair grow. And what I took away from that was how much more important it is for me to explain to my clients. Now I can explain to them the science behind why they should drink more water, instead of just saying, oh, you drink more water, so it just, it nourishes the cells and prevents the cells from dehydrating. But I really couldn't connect it to how it makes the hair grow.
Yeah.
So now I can do that, because a lot of clients come to me and go, oh, my hair is really dry, and then they buy one product to moisturize it, but that product is 90% water. So what that product does is then shrink the hair, and then they go, but I want it to be straighter, so they'll buy another product to combat what the first product did, and then the second product has actually got a sister product. So I end up with clients that have bought 5 products, and none of them would change the hair. And what they really need to do, I ask them, oh, well, how many glasses of water do you drink a day? Oh, I don't drink that much. Okay, well, drink in the next week. Try and increase the amount of water you drink. So try to drink half a glass every half an hour. Yeah? And then the second week, drink a glass every hour. Yeah? Then move up to your 2 liters a day. Then come back and tell me if your hair is still dry. What I get at the moment is people look at me like I'm talking nonsense. But they would go to the doctor and get a bag of medicine that would, that would help them with their hair. But it's not helping them. All there is, your body's dehydrated. And I experienced this myself. I know if I go a day without drinking enough water, I start to suffer with all different kind of things, like a headache, chest pain. My legs hurt. As soon as I start to drink more water, all of these things go away. So I really, that key point that you explained about, the water, was profound to me. The science part of it with the H2O and, the periodic table, and I really wanted more. I was kind of thirsty. And I know the period of time that we had, it enabled you to cover so much things, but I would really like to attend, I don't know, say a 6-month course and really study it in detail and get my certificate to say that, I am now fully knowledgeable on the science of hair.
Well,
yeah, that's what I'm craving for. So I hope that part is coming, because I'd be your first student.
Okay, well, I'm very glad to hear that. In fact, there is a course which follows the line of conversation that I had in the seminar regarding the poster, the hair structures poster. There is an e-learning course that is geared to that. So I haven't fully launched it. I've put it forward, but I haven't publicized it as a course yet. I'm trying to gain more background interest and background knowledge about the conversation. So this is the first seminar where we've actually spoken through it. So now there's a reference point for people like yourself to say, I would like to know more. And then there is a course there. So I'll definitely provide you more information of that, and I'll bring forward the launch of that.
I mean, a lot of people wanted to come to the seminar because I actually bought 4 tickets, and my son and I, my 5-year-old came. And what a few of my friends said that because it was on the Saturday, they were unable to attend. And what I would suggest is the seminar that you delivered, that it would be, you'd have a different a seminar that you would gear towards salons, that you would do it just in the salon for the salons, you know, because some salons they close on a Monday, so it could be delivered there on a Monday. Yeah, but there's definitely a market, and there's definitely a need for the science of hair. Yeah, it's not whether you want to ask people if they want it. It's the need is there, and in my experience as a natural hairstylist, I've been talking about some of the things that you covered in the seminar for years. You know, I've been collecting data on natural hair, and I try to steer away from, you know, the hair extensions and excess products. I try to use products that nature provides. So like your apple cider vinegar and your coconut oil and your shea butter, things that, you know, if you travel around, you can get them naturally. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to, I mean, I would just attend the seminar again and again just so I can keep taking more notes and that I'm fully knowledgeable on everything in that poster, because the poster, it's a university degree in itself, the poster.
Give thanks. Well, I reference it as an encyclopedia, and sometimes when I say that, people think, oh, it's just one sheet, it's just one poster, but it's the way the information is conveyed, and it allows, well, as you've seen, we took the conversation from the pre-atomic level to talking about the outer structure of the hair, and in full detail. We had a fluid conversation, and we were able to talk that through in a clear way, and quite a simple way, logical way, and visually illustrated way. So it does that. There's not many resources that can do that. In fact, I've not seen another resource that does that. So it's unique.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't.
Yeah.
What I would say, my son took away from the seminar. He's 5. He really, really loved the dance. Yes, and we have been doing the dance. He calls it the pyramid dance. He's fascinated by the pyramids anyway and ancient Egypt. And he took the dance away, so he asked me, can we keep doing that dance, Mama? Because, I like the way that it goes, like, it's in a triangle. It's like a pyramid, So for the children, maybe that could be like a starting point, and then build into the break down the science of hair, in quite a basic level. But it definitely is needed.
Well, that's very wonderful. It touches me to hear that your son took it forward in such a way. And what he's talking about there, just to illustrate the point, we teach the discipline called Dankira Tawagi, which is warrior dance, African martial arts. And the stepping motion is based on 2 equilateral triangles, which sit on top of each other, forming a 6-pointed star. And what I had illustrated in the hair poster is the way that in the very structure of the atom is also related to this 6-pointed star. So it is definitely a vehicle. The dance is a vehicle to that science of the hair structure. We already use it as a vehicle for teaching physics and for teaching maths in general. So basically it's a vehicle for teaching all aspects of science, which is an extension of the math and other cultural knowledge. Yeah, it's good to hear that he received it that way, and it is something that he can access. There are other forums where he'll be able to access that.
Yeah.
This is the whole thing about unified knowledge, because his joy of the dance, which he's experienced, as he reads the book, A Bit Secret, he'll see that the dance is inside of there as well. So it's the same dance, and then it's related to a whole another subject of reasoning. So this is where...
we read the book. We read the book on the bus going home.
Okay.
Yeah, my son and I never stay out late. His bedtime is 7. But I felt as a parent who was desperate for that knowledge on the science of hair, I thought it was worth it for me to put my child in that environment where he shares that knowledge as well. Yeah, and he understands that there are times that you need to make a sacrifice and come outside of your routine for the sake of a higher learning. And it was worth it. You know, it was so worth it, just what he took away from it. And he, you know, the poster when I came home, I haven't put it up on the wall, but I put it on the sofa, and he wanted to sit on the sofa. And I watched the way that he took it up, so gentle. He held it like a feather. And he said, Mama, I'm putting this here because it's really important. So we shouldn't underestimate our children and how they learn.
Yeah, it's very true. And well, Hashima, to you've set up the situation of learning and the value of learning perfectly. And because yes, he has been introduced to something that he can return to again and again as he's growing, and gradually go deeper and deeper into it. The poster deliberately, I have the posters laminated so that it can be used in a tactile way. Some people have said, can I just get the paper one? I resist doing that because the paper will get damaged quickly and then it will become something that you don't use. Whereas the physical one, a child can hold it, look at it carefully, and get into it. Then, as I said to you, you have the online version, which you saw. I was using the online version, so I can zoom right into it. And when he gets that, and you get that, then you'll have a field day with that as well. So he actually came up to me. He asked me the questions. He asked me, well, what is the hair made of? And we spoke. We spoke clearly about it. So I can see he's very astute for that. And well done.
And I'm looking forward to him in collaboration with you in the future to be able to teach this to children of his age. And as I said to you, I'm piloting my hair braiding course to the primary school age at the moment. And I can see where, the science of hair can be broken down, so that it's appropriate for their age group. And I'm excited for you.
Well, I'm excited for us because, as I also mentioned, we are launching a cooperative based on this. So there's a whole another level of work, and that involves forming a learner cooperative, beauty and hair science learners cooperative. And this, we've had such a good reception from the first seminar, so I'm expecting a lot of interest for the actual cooperative, and to really build learnership around this and resource around it, more information, and attract resources into that space and create new resources from it. A learner cooperative can do that, especially the difference between this and other, let's say, forums. Other forums tend to be structured around products, so they tend to be orientated around particular products or what products to go for, whereas this forum is anchored around the science, around knowledge of the hair, knowledge of the science of the beauty, and that is a self-ownership. That knowledge becomes self-knowledge, knowledge of self, which is empowerment.
And then with that knowledge, you're able to branch out into maintaining your hair yourself, being able to identify the products that your hair needs yourself. Yeah. Being able to communicate with people what your hair can do for yourself. Yeah. When you go to other seminars, and as you say, they're more geared towards products, the foundation psychology behind those seminars is still geared towards our dislike of our hair in its natural state, and our desire for it to, our focus on what it can't do. So then they go, oh, your hair can't do this, let me sell you this. And if you look at a lot of adverts, products that are geared towards African Caribbean hair is all based around what your hair cannot do and around changing your hair from its natural state. In comparison, European products are all based around enhancing the hair. It's only recently, and when I say recently, I don't mean yesterday, I mean like within the past sort of 30 years or so, products have come out for European hair where it's texturized. But prior to that, it would be products that, kind of protected the hair, but not changed it. Almost all our products are based around changing the hair. Hence the reason why when I go to the hair shop and I only buy certain products, say like a black castor oil, the man in the shop says to me, don't you want this and don't you want that? I say, with all due respect, I don't need it, because I know what my hair can do, and this is what I need. And I want other people to be able to have that knowledge and have that confidence to be able to identify products and communicate what their hair can do, so they make an informed choice on what products they buy and what hairstyles they select. And they pass that knowledge on to their children. So you're not having, young girls who are under 13. I get some parents come and their child is 8 years old and they want hair extensions in their hair. Now, going back to your seminar, when you spoke about the hair cycle, when you put the extensions in the hair at a certain age, it interrupts that hair cycle. And it disrupts it because it pulls on the tension of the hair, and it stretches the hair from the root, and it damages the hair follicle. So you'll find, and I have research for it, that young girls parents who have put extensions in their children's hair under a certain age, when they're older, they're predisposed to having their hair being damaged, and then it can't be repaired. So then you then have to put in more hair extensions and more weave to cover up the damage that was put in place when you were like 8 years old.
That's very deep.
So let's move forward, onward and upwards.
Indeed. It's wonderful to reason on these points with you, and clearly we have common ground. You found, I can see why you've fully enjoyed the seminar, and I can see how, I'm very glad to hear that the design of the poster has a perfect connection. You've illustrated the perfect connection to why it was made, in the way that you've engaged with it, the utility you found in it, the utility that your child has found in it. Is very wonderful. So yeah, we've got a lot to do, and definitely we are at the point of progression, because there is a ground movement towards the natural conditioning of the hair, and there is, as you said, there is a fundamental need for root knowledge about what the hair is. Inside of that, for me, this conversation about the hair will always come down to a summary of what we are in general. So in the science seminar, the conversation went to ATP, which is a molecule that carries or conveys energy. They call it a currency of energy in the body. That's not just for the hair, that's for the body as a whole. So when we start to see, we can use the hair as a vehicle for general knowledge. I believe that this will be very powerful, because we have a very strong identity for conditioning our hair, or for looking after our hair, or at least observing its condition, where we're not necessarily observing other things as carefully. But if we can start to, through the observation of our hair, start to observe other aspects of our lives and our communal lives, then this will be very, very, very great.
Definitely.
Okay.
Knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
But what is even more powerful is what you do with it.
That's right. Well, if you are indeed conscious, then this reflects a conscious in the sense of having overstanding. This definitely reflects a productive capacity, a creative capacity. Those two things sit together. So we're not on the understanding where you just under the idea. We're on the overstanding, the consciousness, the knowledge, where we are empowered productively, creatively, and will naturally create the better way forward. That is overstanding.
And this is one of many conversations that we will have on this topic of hair. There could be many forums, and what I see that the science of hair is done is it's a tree which many branches can come out from it, and many roots can be set. We've just got to let people let us know which one they're prepared to be. Are you prepared to be a branch? Are you prepared to be a root? Or are you prepared to take some knowledge from that tree and somewhere else? And eventually we'll have a field of trees, and that will be a field of knowledge.
Yes. Wonderful.
Yeah. Ashe.
Ashe and Hashima to you, beloved. Well done. Thank you for your time. And yes.
Thanks. Anytime.
Well, I know we're going to speak again differently, so I'm looking forward to that. But I appreciate the time you spent just to share your thoughts on the seminar. Enjoy the day. And
give thanks, my brother, and blessings to you for accepting what the universe has given you and for embracing your purpose.
Give thanks. Thank you.
Ashe.
Hashima.
uLearn National Radio. Tune in to uLearn National Radio. You are now tuning in to uLearn National Radio. Tune in to uLearn National Radio. Everyone, this is the place to go to get that knowledge and to get that empowerment for our people. Come on now. Tune in to uLearn National Radio. uLearn National Radio. Tune in to uLearn National Radio. Ali the Great is in the house. Peace. QueenofFua.com.
On uLearn National Radio. On uLearn Naturally Radio.
Hello, my name's Sister Anna. and I attended the Black Beauty and Hair Science Seminar. It was amazing because it didn't just give you the science of black hair. In fact, when it did give you the science, it went deep. And you had the diagrams. It was kind of interactive on the screen. And, we went to a depth that I don't normally see. So it was lovely to get right to the root of the issue and to look at black hair from that perspective, and then to come out of that and do an experiment based on what we'd learned in terms of the pH and the pH of products, to see whether those products are actually suitable for the hair. So that was good. So there was it was good for kind of different type of learners as well, who maybe need to get their hands kind of working on something. And so that was great for that. And then towards the end, we learned more about the the ancient way of dealing with hair in terms of hair growth. We did a bit of yoga. There was reference to Brother Astehmari's book, Abbott's Secret. We looked into the ways of the praying mantis and got up and replicated the movements. And there was the drum. It was different in a really great way, of learning. So I was very pleased. I must say though that science sometimes when we were delving into the science, occasionally I had to, in my mind, kind of bring this back to the hair, because sometimes I get a bit bogged down with science. So it was good. It was good though. I liked all the aspects and the journeys that we took in that short time. So definitely a great seminar, and it was definitely different, and that's what's so special about it. And I hope that there will be more. Thank you.
Give thanks. What was it that actually made you interested to come in the first place? What attracted your attention to the event?
I'm trying to think, because in the advertising of it, what did it say? Let's see. So it wasn't just in the advertising. When I looked further to see what would be taking place, because we do have a few hair seminars in the community, but I think because we were going into the science, and then we were looking at how I think there was something that intimated about a dance to grow your hair, something like that, and then there was something that spoke about looking at products and seeing whether they were actually suitable for your hair based on their pH, So it was really having the opportunity to not just listen to a talk, but to get involved in doing something, active in, my hair care.
Right. Okay. Good. Well, I'm very keen to hear more about that, because, as I mentioned at the event, we're launching an actual learner cooperative around beauty and hair science. What areas do you think would be of interest to you in terms of that forum? that new development, what areas do you think we should focus on? Obviously, I can see you're pleased with the engagement, and that's something. A learner cooperative is all about that engagement of the members into the activities, the science, and the learning. So definitely we'll have more things like that. Do you have any particular areas you think the cooperative should move towards or investigate?
Oh, definitely. I mean, when you were speaking about the cooperative, I was very pleased because I feel that the African community use many products from within and without the community, but we're not actually testing their suitability for our hair and also testing their safety for our hair. So definitely that area, and so that involves the science of, what's actually in the product and whether, they are suitable or, like I said, even safe. Yeah, so that area, most definitely.
Okay. I think that's going to be very popular. I saw the way that everyone engaged with the actual hands-on pH testing, and it's good. There's more to do as well. So, in summary, is there anything else you'd like to add to what you've said so far?
Anything more I'd like to add? No.
Well,
just one more thing. What was really good as well is that you had a short video of, I forgot my sister's name, The Science of Black Hair.
Right.
We watched that, and there was, graphics there in terms of the hair and that the hair has stages.
The 4 cycles,
of growth, stages, cycles of growth, cycles when we lose hair because, we apportion kind of blame for why our hair comes out, but that's part of the process. Growing, just the same way as, life and death, birth and death are process cycles. Yeah, for our hair, the growing, the hair coming through and then the hair being released is all part of the cycle. So I thought that was really good, like that.
Yes. I mean, people like that, I hope that we'll be able to connect more deeply with more authors and scholars like that, maybe bring them over or do work with them through our cooperative. I'm sure those things are possible. So, yeah.
Yeah, and there are also people in the community who are on their hair journeys and sort of going in depth with that. So this will give them a platform to share, their research, share their experience, their practice with the community. So I give thanks for that.
Yes. And I would like to just say thank you to you, especially for bringing your friend, engaging people to come along as well. I know the lady that you brought along, but it was, I think, good. It's good when we are interconnecting our interests so that things that we need to do or things that we think are important, when they become clear from different perspectives, it's obviously more empowering to do it, to get involved. So I thank you for, engaging your friend and bringing people along, encouraging people to come to the event and get involved.
Well, I think it's important because, when you learn something new, you need someone to kind of reiterate it with, to kind of remember it with and go over it with. So it's good to bring family and friends so that you go on this journey together and you enhance each other's knowledge, continuously. So, yeah, you're welcome. She was over the moon, so she was really pleased.
Yeah, I'm hoping to speak to her soon as well. So, yeah, that's good. Sister Amma, thank you very much for your time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Obviously, I will keep you informed. We're in a process of calling the meeting to basically inaugurate the Learner Cooperative. I've sent an email. I hope you've caught on to that. Basically allowing ones to see the proposed constitution, and in mid-October, there will be a meeting for basically to adopt the constitution and to discuss the way of the organisation, what it can do, what people would like it to do, the priorities, these kind of things. So I'll make sure you get that if you haven't received it. And yeah, thank you very much for your support.
Welcome, and I give thanks for your energies in the areas that you are. I mean, uLearning, is it called uLearning Cooperative?
uLearn Naturally Learners Cooperative.
Lovely. uLearn Naturally Learners Cooperative. It's a holistic approach, and it's fantastic. It's amazing. So I give thanks for you and your team.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so my name is Kemi. I attended the Black Beauty and Science evening event. I think that was over a week ago now. So my feedback on the event, we covered quite a lot on that event. What I recall was it was mainly aspects of maths and aspects of chemistry, really. Those were the main things that I got from that. I suppose also aspects of biology in terms of the chemical processes that happen. I'm going to give a very let's say my feedback. What I would say on the day was not as a criticism, but certainly I think it's something to consider, that there was a tremendous amount of information there, because what we did was we were taken through the hair poster from the atomic level up to the macrostructure, which was the actual hair follicle. And there was a tremendous amount of information condensed on that poster, and there was a tremendous amount of information condensed into the time that we were there. And I think it was a total of about 4 hours, and the majority of that time we were sitting and receiving information. We had a part of the evening which was to do with actually getting products, people coming with their products and pH testing it. So that was practical, that was active. And we had at the very end also, as a final overview of a unified knowledge approach, the movement, the sort of the warrior dance, Tawagi, and the movement. So, but apart from that, the majority of the session was receiving information. It was very good quality information. But I felt that it was just too much information. And this is someone who, I'm a physiotherapist, so I have a certain amount of science, applied science background aligned to health. And so there were aspects, I probably, out of the people that were there, probably was conversant with more of the stuff that was being discussed and presenting to us than a layperson, because I know there was several people who were coming from the aspect of hair practitioners, interesting hairdressing, interesting in knowing about the actual properties of African hair and the African hair coil. And so what I would say is, because there was so much information that we got, and it was quality, all quality, it's very, as I think now, because it's been over a week, it's very difficult for me to extract clearly much of the stuff that I gathered on the day, because it was just too condensed for me. So there are things that stood out for me. Certainly the practical stuff stood out for me. That was the pH testing, and that was really nice. I really enjoyed that. But I think probably what I enjoyed about that was not so much to do with pH testing, because I remember that from school. It was more just to do with being in a group together, doing something collectively. It was science. It was applied science. It was a very relaxed way of doing science. So that's what I loved. I just loved the togetherness of it. The other parts of the evening that really stood out for me, that I recollect, and this is not the fact that I'm having difficulty recollecting the majority of it, is because there was just so much that we got given in that time available. I recall the logarithms, so that was very interesting, and that related to trying to be able to visualize very, very small numbers and very, very large numbers. And I would say the way in which the logarithms were explained to us, I think, is an example of how powerful unified knowledge approach is, which is that you can see something. One can see logarithms in different contexts, and you'll just think, well, that's something technical and over my head, and I won't think about it. Or you get told a number that is so minute, minuscule, you're not familiar with it. So we're familiar with, as we agreed on the evening, we're familiar with centimeters, meters, and millimeters. And then you're going into the macrometers and decimeters or whatever, and at the other end, you're talking about, massive numbers, and so you kind of switch off. It's like someone saying a zillion. It's just a word. You switch off. But what we were able to do in the evening with the explanation was to be able to begin to visualize what that might be like, and at the same time have an understanding of the value and the usage of logarithms, and that it was very when it was explained, it was very straightforward. It was very, very straightforward. It was something that you could grasp, and you can see the value of it. So that was just an example to me of how the unified knowledge approach takes things that are just facts and brings it into a context that actually has sense in the real world. And I think that is a very unique strength, and I think it's a very invaluable strength, because I see all the time, and I can overhear conversations all the time in which people seem to ream off facts. So one example was recent events going on in America with the flooding from I think was it a hurricane or something like that. And they started to ream off a whole load of facts, like the amount of water that has fallen in one day in this tragedy that caused this flooding is the equivalent to the amount of water that will fall down the Niagara Falls in blah, blah, blah number of hours. I mean, they're all facts that are completely useless facts. And I'm just finding that these days, everything comes down to everything being described in terms of facts that you cannot use. And I even take it back to my own education, whereby I would say that I did science, I I did art. It was I had an unusual education in that respect. I did do science and I did do arts to quite a level. And yet, a lot of the facts that I learned about, I could not find any application on a day-to-day basis. And that just seems like a tremendous waste of energy and time. And what I have found by becoming involved with unified knowledge, and I've only given one example with the logarithms, is that I've been opened up to seeing the world and seeing how the science actually is you can use it in a fundamental and practical way. And I think really that the attempt with the poster and that evening in regards to hair structure, there was a lot of it was very, very informative, very, very intense, but there was a lot of stuff in there that you could, just a simple thing like your hair follicle, that could take you off into, you could go into it so much deeper with the maths if you wanted to. We got to be told about the maths, or so much deeper in terms of the chemistry, especially in terms of the different kinds of bonds, or the biological process in terms of the catalyzing effect of the enzyme that I think was it. I can't remember which particular enzyme, but it was to do with the DNA? I can't quite remember. But if anybody wanted to go off into that direction and go into it deeper, they could do it. It's all on the poster. We got introduced to all of that. And it comes back to just your hair. And so you can be combing your hair or styling your hair and really have a different level of appreciation. So it was a fantastic event, highly informative. But again, I go back to my first point, which was there was just so much in there that it's difficult to. What I'm aware of is I'm more aware of the stuff that I didn't hold on to because it was so intensive, rather than the stuff that I did hold on to. I only held on to one or two little things. So that was my major feedback. And once again, well done, Astehmari.
Well, give thanks. Thank you for sharing that. And it's it's good to hear from you, because you have recently done the summer school, so you've been around now seeing the unified knowledge approach to learning and education from different points of view. So I think it's very, very important to hear from you how you found this. You're right, it was a very intense experience. The poster is, I often explain the poster as something like an encyclopedia on one sheet. And when you say that, everyone thinks, Encyclopedia Britannica, 20 odd different books, fat books with information. So how can it be on one sheet that is an encyclopedia? But as you've seen, there's a lot on one sheet that can be unpacked, and I started a process in a given time. So my exercise was to explore it, to open it up, and to invite us to become more curious about different elements of it, and have a natural, friendly way to go deeper. And so I hear what you're saying, and in fact, that which we did in the few hours that we did it is a summary of the course, which is a 3-month course to explore all of those things in the same way that we did the pedagogy class. We did that in an intensive way over 6 weeks, but more regularly it's over 12 weeks. So this is also an intensive that we did on the day for something that more regularly would be a 3-month course where we take time to go through each element of it and, get the awareness, the consciousness of the information and the competence with it. So obviously in a seminar, to introduce it is not necessarily to ensure that everyone has the competence in the information that's being shared,
but it is to open up an awareness of it, to open up a value for it, to bring us into areas that I think we're not necessarily comfortable in terms of dealing with the math and the science that relate to the things that we are interested in, which is the hair and the beauty and the well-being. And the more we can bridge that, because in a way, our relationship to the math and science, generally speaking, is part of the barrier to our well-being and health. The fact that, for example, what you've spoken about with number and us, we went through an exercise where parts of the hair structure were showing very, very small measurements that most people wouldn't know what those measurements mean. What does a micrometer mean? An atometer, what do these words mean? But we actually went there. We went through the scaling so that we could see what the numbers meant in relation to each other. And if we don't do that, then you can't visualize it, and then that means you can't perceive it properly to its real relationship to the rest of your being. So it's important to do it. And so for that reason, whilst it is very intense, if for example I'd taken one section and spoken about that in more detail and not done the rest of it, then there wouldn't be a broad overview to the whole context in which the hair is about, both in terms of the various kinds of science elements, the various kinds of math that underpin the science elements, as well as the art and the sensitivities that we have for our hair and our beauty. So in summary, I take on board what you're saying. You have perceived it rightly. It was an intensive seminar in that way. There was a lot of information there. I did find though, and I enjoyed the questioning. People asked questions as we were speaking. There was an interaction of questions and commentary as we were going along. So I thought that was good, that was useful, and I would encourage more of that. I think that the way it was projected onto the screen was useful as well, because from what I've gathered, people found that more interactive than just a static thing. The fact that we could zoom into the poster in detail. People could ask me to go to a particular place and zoom into that section, and then we could zoom in and discuss that in more detail. So this is a hint of how the course is. The longer term course will be like this, but going into more detail on each section and ensuring competence, ensuring that the practice level is at practice level 2, so there's consciousness and competence in each of the given areas. Whereas what we did on that Saturday was to give an introduction, an overview to the whole thing. Mm.
Well, I think it was brilliant, and anybody who was able to extract even a percentage of the information that was contained in that poster would come away with a different level of respect for themselves, mm-hmm. for a sense of wonder. Just in regards to something as simple as a strand of their own hair, but that being just representative or an indication of the greater wonder of the whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point, and that is definitely a value. That's a value that I have. I mentioned the way that the keratin protein structure, this coiled, what they call alpha helix coiled structure, is on the inside as it manifests on the outside with the coiled hair. And for me, it's simple as it is. It's a very profound thing. It's a unique thing, and it's something that you never see in biological images. And all those things combined together should make one's very proud of the structure.
should make ones want to embrace the fullness of the nature of the structure, what the structure is manifesting, to be completely in line with it, rather than disagreeing with it or trying to circumvent it or undermine it or divert it into something else. This was my point of passion for the thing, is that there's a natural form, and that natural form is, as you just said, it's basically wonderful. So the more wonderful we realize it is, the less likely we're going to be to want to change it to something that's not as wonderful, or something that damages the wonder or damages the power of the thing. So yeah, give thanks, thank you for your reflections, and I appreciate the critique. It's very important. It is this work. I mentioned that we're starting a learners cooperative, and this is modelled on our Abundance Centre model for learner cooperatives, whereby we have a structure for members to come together, develop an infrastructure that can attract resources, that can attract knowledge, attract other teachers and facilitators, attract basically whatever the members want. But this is structured around science and learning and unified approaches to learning, rather than aesthetics. But ultimately, I realise, and I'm very happy that we're going to have more beautiful aesthetics as a result of coming to know the science. I know this. But I think it's a learning curve to appreciate that, love that, whereas someone may come with some pills and potions to say, okay, put this on your head, put this on your skin, everything will be okay in 2 days' time. And you just believe it, or you try it, it might work, it might not. If it doesn't work, you don't know why. If it does work, you don't know why. No, this is not sufficient for the, let's call it, intelligent design that is evident inside of our being. Is not sufficient to accept just guesswork and having a go with stuff that mostly we're not making. So anyway, basically my point for saying that is that the seminar was an inception point, or part of an inception point, for a learner cooperative, which we're now coming to in a few days' time, well, in a few weeks' time rather, mid-October from now, we'll be launching that actual organisation, and that will be able to go deeper. We'll be able to do more research and find more ways to connect the deeper knowledge in natural ways to the people who need to know.
Very exciting.
Yes, I'm excited for it too. I mean, we've got a number of different types of learner cooperative. That this area, in fact, I've been feeling that we should have a cooperative around this area for some time, but there was a particular event that took place in our centre, and it was like a flash mob. The building, the event was about hair, and it was simply some organisations who had come in from foreign to present their products. People got wind of this, and the place was absolutely heaving. People were queuing to get inside. It wasn't a particularly shiny event. There was no special offers, nothing like this. It's quite a simple type of presentation that was scheduled, but something took place in the Gazette in the province, and hundreds of people turned out for this thing. And it struck me that there's just so few things outside of religion and sort of the rites of passage, weddings and funerals, that people gather in such a way. And yeah, the people gathered, at the heart of it, many of those people gathered because they have an interest in it. They want to learn more. And even though they're learning about products, really it's self-knowledge they're learning. They're trying to find something that is about their perceived self-perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is at the heart of a learner cooperative. This is why from that point, I accelerated the process for this learner cooperative to come into being. Yeah, because it's I can see that we're prepared to gather around our interest for this, and it does, as I've demonstrated, it does connect into science and math, which underpins the sciences, in ways that are important for us to overstand. So, yeah, this is the reasoning. This is why it's come about. And inside of all of that, that's why I'm saying I especially appreciate your critical reasoning, because it is about learning. And in a way, I'm glad that you recognize that as valuable as all the things were, as brilliant as all the information was, that you took away a certain portion of it, and there was more to retain, more to work with, and there is an answer to that, which is further learning and study. And a learner cooperative is a space to ensure there's a good process so that people do have a chance to take away or to develop the full competence, the highest practice level in all the areas that need to be dealt with. Yeah.
I understand that. That's great.
Okay, well, give thanks. I've taken up your time, but I thank you for sharing your time and giving your thoughts on the event. And, I'm looking forward to more. So, I thank you again. And, yeah.
I think it's the 14th, isn't it?
The 14th of October, this is the meeting, which will be the inauguration meeting. I've invited ones to read the proposed constitution. And so before we get to the meeting, the people who come to the meeting, I would expect that most will have read the constitution, so we can discuss it in a kind of swift way and a deep way, and move on to actual formation, the process of formation and the process of defining our initial objectives. I think the cooperative structure is new to most people, so there needs to be time to reason it out, to explain it. But in truth, we have to do it for people to know what this is. And that's a change, because most organizations are not built around cooperative working. And certainly in regard to the business of hair and hair care and self-improvement in regard to hair and beauty, I've not seen any other structures that are really trying to engage us. Like you enjoyed the pH testing, and that was an activity. We did that on the back of going deeply into what the pH actually is. The process of learning about the logarithms and the exponents was done as a journey towards proper comprehension of what the pH scale is about, so we could read it and know it in a better way. Then we went and did the activities. So there are many activities to do with self-testing and self-assessments, and we could have a session where we just do loads of self-assessment things. But the perfect form for me is that we learn the science behind the self-assessment, then we do it. And so we're doing it consciously, rather than just doing something that we're just told to do it and we just believe the results, or we don't believe the results. This is the standard system. The unified knowledge is that you learn the principle to the deepest place, then you look to apply it, and you can test whether you've met it. If it's a proper principle, you'll be able to see where you are with it, how it's working.
Definitely. Yes, I get that.
Okay. Kemi, thank you very much. And
thank you.
Hashima.
Thank you for asking me. Hashima. We'll stay in touch. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sorry, Astehmari, Running for the bus.
Okay.
I think I pressed the button.
No problem. Are you on the bus now?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it okay for you to talk? Are you comfortable to speak about this?
Yeah, I'm not bothered.
Okay, cool.
Okay, greetings. My name's Charlene. I attended the hair science event, seminar, run by Astehmari, and I found it absolutely amazing. I've studied a bit of hair and beauty when I've been younger, and straight away from looking at the information, I could see that there were things that I hadn't been taught, or that I was fully unaware of, even by the description, looking at it from the elemental chart, and even the lack of documentation around the finding of the picture. And I've never actually seen a picture or our hair, the coil, described a design from like the basics to what it is and where it's coming from and how it's made out from the different elements. I'll definitely be going to any event that Astehmari has in the future. I have to say that my science knowledge is not, 100%, but I was blown away by the information. So we started off from like the basics and then worked our way kind of backwards, which then after a while started to make a lot of sense to me. And I just wanted to say thank you, because it was a great experience. And I know there's a lot more to it than just what we saw that day. That was just like maybe 1% of the information, if we were to go deeper.
Mm-hmm. Give thanks.
Is that okay?
That's fine. I'm very glad to hear from you. What was it that brought you to the event? What made you interested to come to the event?
What made me come to the event? It was because Astehmari was in the event, and the focus of why I was attending was really based around missing the summer camp for my children. So I thought, okay, there's a movement or a dance that is attached to helping the hair grow and the flow of the hair, or that follicle. And so I wanted to bring my children initially. I thought the price was great, and I thought, I'm going to bring my children. Sadly, they had a birthday party to go to, which they really wanted to go to, so I didn't make it with them, and I went with Sister Grandma. And I'm so happy that actually they didn't need to come on this occasion. It was ready for me to come, so I'm happy that I made it. And to be honest, I'm not saying this just to push Astehmari's way of doing things, but I have to say that I was meant to meet you and come to one of your events a long time ago, and I didn't make it, and so it was just the right timing, because hair is something that I have a thorough interest in, a passion for, like DIY and making my own hair products. So to understand things from a scientific point of view was really profound to me about what projects and things I can probably do in the future, but from a scientific point of view around my hair.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, very good. I'm glad to hear that. And as you know, because I mentioned it in the seminar, we're going to launch.
Pardon?
As you know, I mentioned in the seminar that we're going to launch a cooperative, a hair science cooperative. So we'll be able to go deeper into it, have more programs, more activities to learn about the science of hair and beauty. And so, I'm very glad that you did attend and that you obviously found it useful. Were there any particular points in the cycle of the learning that we went through in terms of the poster and the information on it? Was there anything in particular that stood out to you?
I haven't gone through my poster yet because I hadn't got that full information to go through it. But in the event, I think one of the key things that stuck with me, I can't remember the actual name, there's a stage of hair that's described that isn't described in college. There's only 3 stages that are described. They don't describe the 4, or there were 4 pieces charted, noted on the chart of the hair follicle, and I've not seen that. So for me, it was just connecting the dots to the things that I've learned that actually fully didn't really make sense, to seeing them explained from somebody that looks like me and that knows their own route of information about their hair. For me, that was quite profound because I've never experienced that before. Like, I know there's nothing about our hair online. So just to understand it scientifically, and I don't fully, but just the basics of what I touched on and picked up on, to me, it started to click with different things, ideas I have, and things started to flow. So it was almost like a catalyst to other things that I've been experiencing and thinking about. But to come to that event, it was kind of like the niche to mesh everything together.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know obviously this is just like the small pinnacle to beginning my journey of learning more about myself on a scientific basis, because I don't know enough about myself. And so that the best way for me to start probably would be the hair. Well, and work my way back. So that's a passion that I have.
Okay. Well, this is what I've realized. I was saying to another person that I was motivated to push this forward because we had an event.
Say that again, I couldn't hear you.
I was motivated to push this event forward because we had another hair seminar, another hair event here. I didn't organize the other event, but just hundreds of people turned out to find out about the hair. And even the people speaking were not planning to speak in that much depth about it. So I know that there's a strong interest, and because I've looked into our experience of education here, with the standard system education, I know that we've got issues. We're disaffected with the math and the science, and the math and the science are keys into knowing more about ourselves and our hair and our bodies and our ways of being. So it's very important to remove the fear that many people have, or the insecurity many people have about the math and science. Yeah.
Well, I've always known that our hair is phenomenal. I've always told my children that our hair is like the bomb. The bomb diggity, it does everything and anything. And but you have to understand how it works in order to be able to kind of like manipulate it. You know, there's people that say there's good hair, bad hair. For me, it's just like how moisturized is your hair, how well is it? Mm-hmm. It's not really about anything else. But I love hair. I love what our hair can do, and I'm still learning about mine, but I've been on my hair journey for a while. And yeah, learning about it. So it was good. I hope there's going to be more, and I do hope that maybe in the future that you'll have one more orientated more to the children. I don't know how that would be, or maybe the dancing would be at the beginning, or I don't know, but one geared more to the younger, you know, like the infants, 5-year-olds, our children's age. Mm-hmm. But I suppose that will be yet to come in the future, as this is just the beginning, I suppose.
Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. What I would say in regard to this seminar, the seminar gave an overview to the poster, which gives detail about the whole structure from the atomic level, from before the atomic level through to the full hair shaft. So the poster does that, but there is a course which runs over 3 months to go through the same thing, but in much more detail, so that we can, you know, take time to get the proper consciousness and competence with each area. What we did in the seminar, it was an introduction to the whole thing. So that's why it may seem like a lot of information, but it's a summary overview. And I sense...
Okay, that sounds good. I'm interested because, you know, are you still recording?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very interested because today is kind of the beginning of, for me, it's like a new day. My children have been deregistered from school, and so I'm on a journey. It's a bit frightening, but I've had to like go on a journey of to homeschool with my children, and so I'm going to need to, you know, up myself with everything that I need to learn. And so I'm interested in that 3-month or whatever long-term course it is, if it fits in with the structure of what I'm trying to do throughout my day.
Mm-hmm. And in regard to that, one of the things I mentioned is that I can see how a parent could use the hair as an anchor to all kinds of math and science subjects. And I'd like to help develop that curricula so that then I think the cooperative can do that work. I can support the cooperative in building different kinds of learning programs that parents could do with their children to learn the things that we want them to learn about the math and science through the hair. And at the same time, it's obviously knowledge of self directly. So I'm looking forward to that very much. And that sits with home education. You know, people who are doing the home education independent learning. I have a lot of support for that, a lot of time to support that. I'm very interested in supporting that option. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm interested in. That journey started today.
Okay. Okay. Well, perhaps differently. I mean, we're talking now in a way just to review the event, but obviously differently we can speak about that. And in any way, this is what our trust is about. You came close to the summer school, and so you got to see what some things are on offer. But I think when you see
when you come into the next round of pedagogy classes, then you'll see it fully, and you'll be pleased to know that we'll be launching on the 14th of October, which is the day of the inauguration for this for this event and for this new cooperative. We'll have an open day to launch other courses. We'll be launching.
And that all is taking place on the 14th.
All on the 14th. So I'm just finishing the prospectus. I'm going to put it out. It's going to be out on the social media imminently. So you will see that. You'll be able to see the details of that. 14th of October.
Okay, that sounds fabulous. I'll definitely be coming to that then. So thank you, but I just want to say thank you for holding that event on the weekend. I'm so happy that I was able to attend, and I'm happy that it was even available.
Okay, give thanks. Thank you, and
I look forward to what is to come.
Thank you.
Leading on from what I've experienced so far.
Okay, well, thank you, and thank you for sharing your birth giving day. I should say happy birth giving day to you.
I couldn't hear you very well. Say that again, please.
I said, I thank you for sharing your birth giving day. I should say happy birth giving day to you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You are tuned in to uLearn Naturally Radio. uLearn Naturally Radio.
Wow!
uLearnNaturally.org. uLearnNaturally.org.